as I think about working with my class on writing and tying my instruction to the standards. I will begin by looking at the college and career readiness anchor standards for writing. The first standard is, write opinion pieces on topics or texts, supporting a point of view with reasons and information. Well, that is certainly an important skill for students and something I need to teach. Let's see, it has 4 benchmarks, which I will have to unpack. I will begin with writing both the standard and the first benchmark in the first column on my chart. Okay. Let's see what's next. The next column asks me to identify the skills my students will need to meet the standard. What is it I want my students to be able to do? The skills are represented by the verbs used in the standard, so I will look for some verbs. I see 5: introduce, state, create, grouped, and support. I don't think I need to include grouped and support here, because they refer to the ideas, not to what the student does. So, I will place introduce, state, and create in the skills column on the chart. So far, so good. Let's see what's next. The column with the heading concepts, content is asking what the learner should know, and indicates I should be looking for nouns. My first verb was introduce, so just what is it that students will introduce? Aha! They will introduce the topic or text, so the first entry in the concepts, content column will be topic or text. The second verb is state. What do they state? Oh sure, opinion. Create. They create an organizational structure. Okay, moving on. What's next? Context. The context asks me to consider when the learner will demonstrate the skills and concepts. These benchmarks are all leading to writing an opinion piece, as stated in the standard itself. I know it is good to keep the standard in mind as I unpack the benchmarks. It serves as an anchor. I can use words from the standard as I unpack the benchmark. So, for the context column I am going to write opinion pieces on topics or texts. Now, I am ready to decide what cognitive level the students will be working on. I am looking at the verbs I have chosen for the skills column, and considering the cognitive levels of each. I think introduce and state are lower order thinking objectives, but I think create would indicate a higher order process than introducing or stating something. Students are asked to create an organizational structure, in which ideas are grouped to support the purpose. According to my Bloom's taxonomy level chart, when students create something they are working at the highest level of create, synthesize. But as I look at the descriptions of the Bloom's levels, and think about creating an organizational structure, I think asking students to write their opinion is not quite at that level. It seems the words appraise, assess, classify, compare, decide, determine, judge, justify, prove, rate. These all fit with what I am asking students to do. It really fits more with the evaluate level, so I will write evaluate in my Bloom's level column. Since I am supposed to write the highest level of thinking students will use, I am almost done. I need to confirm the unpacking of my standard before I create an activity, so I can be sure the activity supports my students' learning. I am going to cover up the text of the standard to see if what I have included under skills, content and context, represent and describe the standard. I think the words I have chosen do that, so now I will check to see if I have used words that actually appear in the standard for the skills, content and context columns. Let's see. Students will introduce a topic or text, state an opinion and create an organizational structure when writing an opinion piece. I did a really good job using words from the benchmarks, except I did have to go back to the main standard to find words for the context column. And I have linked each skill to the appropriate content or concept. I feel as if the skills and content listed for the standard are ones that instructors would expect students to meet if their class assignment was to write an opinion piece. I am happy with what I have done, so now I have to create an activity that I can use in class to help students with these skills and concepts. Let's see, I can have each student write a letter to their child's teacher, in which they state their opinion about a situation that came up at the school, explaining their opinion. Okay, now I'm all finished and have the start of a good lesson for my class on writing opinion pieces. I will do the same thing for the other benchmarks.